Thank you so much. All right. Greetings to you all again, royalties in the house. Uh, it's been a long way coming here. This is the very last topic on our session, our series of topic for this Free-Minded Academy session we have been holding. It has become a culture, a habit for us to meet every Wednesday, 6 p.m. GMT, to discuss things related to our community, to see the way forward. Mainly, people that are in good conditions and have all it takes normally go for extra. They go and have fun, they go on vacation. But then in our busy schedule, even though we are living in a capitalist world where there is always need for us to purchase more, to pay more bills, we spare a little bit of our time to come and discuss issue related to our community, and that is very great. I think we can only be grateful to ourselves. This evening's topic, we are going to be discussing the people's alternative. Why do we discuss alternative? Mostly when we talk about alternative, we look at another way of doing something. Is either we want to do things another way because things are not working properly for us, or we feel like even though things are okay, things could be better. And that is why we talk about alternative. But in this case, there is the word people here. We are going to be discussing people's alternative. And I think our discussion, as usual, the speaker will present the topic in few minutes, and then the room will be open for discussion. We'll be grateful to hear your ideas, your suggestions, your contribution, and then we can take it from there. So if we are all set, King Fanelo, kindly come in and let us hear from you. We know you have something great to give us to launch the discussion.
But nevertheless, today we are having a discussion about the people's alternative. Perhaps let me acknowledge and welcome everybody who's new on the platform on this discussion. The approach for ACUP is that we have to engage, we have to have a dialogue, but the purpose of having this dialogue is to ignite hearts, is to set hearts on fire, is to transform minds, especially of our young people, because it's one thing to be hopeless, if challenges are too many and you're looking at this mammoth task of transforming Africa, and you're looking at this level of poverty, you're looking at this violence, some of us come from the villages, we see poverty in our faces. Some of us come from townships. We have to walk in the midst of those muddy roads of our townships. In fact, the township where I was born in Madadeni, both in Section 3 and in Section 6, I still have to walk on gravel road. In this 30 years later, after our democracy, when I go back home today, I still walk on a gravel road, in a mud. If it's raining and if there's wind, there's dust. If there's rain, there's mud. Now, if you look at the townships and the villages, I'm sure it's going to be the same scenario across the continent of Africa. You would find that a lot of our villages do not have the basic infrastructure that we all need for quality of life. I mean, roads is actually, it's amazing that, so many years later, so many years since the beginning of time, we are now right into over 6,000 years of history in humanity. Civilizations have built cities and structures that, amazing. that still baffles science today. So what happened? What went wrong? How come in this generation we are still having infrastructure problems when the earth, it is so vastly advanced in technology? There are many engineers in our hour than there's ever been. There are many doctors in our hour than there's ever been in any generation. There is more knowledge, more information today than there's ever been in all of history combined. In that 6,000-year history, we are the most advanced generation the life has ever known. Now, the question would be, what is the alternative? What should the people's alternatives be in this hour when we still, pause and are faced with reality that is different to what we've imagined, what we desire? What do we do when we're overwhelmed with such levels of poverty, such inadequacy of infrastructure? I visited Nigeria for a friend's wedding there, and I was shocked. I went right into Lagos. I thought Johannesburg, I've lived in Johannesburg for a long time, and I thought one must move away from that city because of the traffic. When you are in the morning, you spend easily an hour or two on the road to and fro to work. And I thought there's nothing in the world that can match that, until I landed in Lagos. And when I landed in Lagos, I find that you can't even hire a car with Avis. And, Avis, if you want to hire a car, it has to come with a chauffeur, with a driver, because you cannot drive. I could not drive in Nigeria. The congestion and the infrastructure of roads was just at another level, and the intersections there, there's no traffic lights, so every man for himself when you go to a four-way stop. In fact, there's no traffic, or I did not see a single traffic officer in Nigeria the whole time I was there. Now, what do we do when we are looking at realities that we are faced with in Africa? Because most of us, we have put our hopes, to the leaders that we've elected in a democratic process to represent our interests. Now, South Africa is the youngest democracy, our big brother is Ghana. Ghana is our big brother. All of us, every nation in Africa should be looking up to Ghana. Now, what do we do as people? What is our alternative when the saviors that we have put our hopes to have not delivered? What do we do? What choices, what alternative do we have when the people who we call heroes, and we celebrated our independence from former colonial rulers, we went into queues for voting, and we were celebrating that at last it's no longer going to be the minorities that rule and dictate terms on the global arena. It's now going to be the majority. Umbuso wentando yeningi, we say that in Zulu. It just means the people shall govern. People shall govern. So that was the hope of democracy. That was the hope of this dispensation. Now, when we are sitting today, you and me, we look at the inadequacy. We look at things pretty much the same. Is Ghana different today than when the colonial rulers was there? Is South Africa today different than when the colonial rulers were there? Is any of the nations than when the colonial rulers were there? What has changed for our people? So that's the question. What has changed? Have our people become wealthy? Have they achieved a quality of life? What is the quality of life? What does it look like? Are people having access to proper healthcare, proper facilities, proper medicine when they need healing? Do we have proper education, proper schools? And do our schools have proper facilities? And do they have the right equipment? Sport fields, swimming pools, libraries. Do we have robotic labs in the schools? Do we have research laboratories? Do we have chemistry labs? Do we have these things in our schools? I mean, we live in the most advanced civilization in our time. So how can it be when the world has so much wealth, so much knowledge, so much, has progressed so far? How can it be that you still have majority of global populations in utter poverty? By the way, the situation is not just facing South Africa. In fact, Global South, as we know it, echoes the same challenges. I mean, you have to consider India, you have to consider China situation there. You have to go to Brazil and see the squatter camps and see the utter poverty, people in Mali. But it's not only limited to there. You can still go to Afghanistan, go to the Arab bloc and Arab communities. The same thing you will see there, that most of our people, even living in those, they're still in slums. But even in the first world countries, if you go to, the so-called America, you will find that there are slums. People are sleeping on the street as we speak today. People are making, makeshift shelters on the street, on the bus shelters, on the parks. Even here in Cape Town, which is probably, our neo-colonizers are proudful. They often boast of Cape Town and say, you know what, in South Africa, it's probably, they talk about, kind of world-class city and world-class municipality systems. But what does that all mean for our people? It's okay for tourists. Yes, tourists can come and see beautiful mountains, and they definitely have a nice all 5-star hotels that are better anyway than in Europe. And yes, we've got planes and flights that are better than in America. So yes, all the European visitors that come would always walk away in South Africa saying, wow, what a city. Because they're seeing Sandton, they're seeing V&A Waterfront, they're seeing Camps Bay, they are seeing these cities. So when we're looking at all of these things, where we are today, so what choices do we have? What should our alternative be for the people? We look at the economy. It favors the minorities. All economic systems that rule the world today favors minority versus the majority. It's meant to be the democratic dispensation. It's meant that whoever the masses are the one who must govern, because they are the ones who elect people in office. But on the contrary, even the elected minorities, they only take care of the interest of the minority. And that's the stark reality of capitalist economic systems that we find ourselves in. So what choices do we have? What should be the alternative of people? How do we shake ourselves free from the chains and shackles of poverty? How do we shake ourselves free from the chains of crime? Because now, our people have to hustle to live, to make a living. They have to, go steal, kill, and destroy just to live. It's a survival instinct. It's on a survival mode. How do we deactivate the survival mode of our masses and turn it into kings and queens mode? Because once you know you are a king, once you know you are a queen, then you stop looking for a savior. You stop trusting and putting your hope in a political leader. You start, you stop trusting a president. You stop trusting, one man for a solution for the continent of Africa. You start saying, look, if I was a king, if I was a queen, and if I had 100% authority and jurisdiction over my destiny, if I was a sovereign entity, I have a right to exist. I have a right to map my tomorrow, my plan for tomorrow. I have a right. I am sovereign. Nobody can dictate that for me. Neither for me nor my family. I have a right to organize myself, collaborate with someone, and go and build my own family, have my own piece of land, and use my talents and my skills to extract value out of natural land resources that are there in that land, produce food for myself, produce clothing for myself, build my own home and my own houses, proper, dignified, have a proper, plant my own gardens, and, even plant my own medicine, and I have a right to knowledge. I have a right to knowledge, to, access to that knowledge. So what choices do we find ourselves with as a people, the masses? What is the alternative we have today? Now, fortunately, where we start with a system that limits us or puts us in a box. And the first phase, how do we operate within those parameters of that box? So I will tell you that one of the first choice that we do have is ourselves. Now, we have each other, and our numbers at this point in time, we can tick that box. It favors us. Now, let me share what numbers mean so that we know what power we have. What influence do we have on the entire globe as Africa? I want to share so that you understand what numbers mean. So let's some of you've been in media, people, channels like SABC, like DSTV, radio station like Ukhozi, or like SAFM, all of these radio stations. The only way they can make money, the only way they can be profitable is when they have numbers. It's when they have numbers. You see, when you are a radio station and you have 1 million listenership, you command authority. You command authority. People run. They want to come on your platform. They want to use you to market their brands via you. They are prepared to pay a premium for a slot where you have the most of that, the peak of that listenership. Now, I want you to understand the numbers, how powerful the numbers are. And, industries, companies are evaluated on the basis of the market share they have. What is the market share? What is a market share? If we talk of a market share in a company, we say we have 8 billion people across the earth. Now, the monopolies, the global monopolies, companies that are big, they are big because they dominate market share. What is market share? It means of the 8 billion slice of the population that sits across 7 continents, they have captured a sizable portion of that population. Now, for them, they make noise. I mean, Facebook makes noise. WhatsApp, Instagram, they became a $1 billion industries simply because they had numbers, they had a crowd, they had a following. Now, we are running on WhatsApp. A lot of you know WhatsApp. Now, none of you pay a rent for WhatsApp. Nobody pays for WhatsApp. Not a single member. It's free. you just subscribe. It's free. It's just like YouTube. It's free. You can access all of these platforms for free. Now, how do they turn that into money? How does it make them become $1 billion industries? It is because of your presence in those platforms. So any platform that commands at least 1 million people has authority to command sponsorships. Marketers come and offer. So the only reason WhatsApp made money is because they looked at it and said there was a potential. What potential? If you can access over 1 million people, that means we can access people's data. So in this era we're living in, data is our new gold. Data is our new gold because every marketer is looking for a particular segment of a market. They say, we're looking for a youth that is above 23, that is between 23 and 30. This kind of youth is living in townships, or this kind of youth is living in the villages, or this kind of youth is living in the suburb. If you've got that and you can ring fence it, and you can pinpoint the marketers to target those youths, to target that to penetrate that market, and you can give them access to them, they will pay you premium to come on your platform. Now, that is what makes corporate and industry make noise, because they have numbers. They have captured the market. Now, I want you to understand that is true for anything, even in the political power space. The political parties that dictate terms, that occupy many seats in parliaments, that can govern, that can take a lot of state positions and give it to its leadership and its members. It does so because it has numbers. It has numbers. So any political party that has numbers can command funders. Funders will offer it everything it ever needs. Why? Why would funders and corporates, why would the Oppenheimers in South Africa, who are among the richest families, why would the Ruperts and why would the Motsepe foundations and them, why would these companies want to take millions and give it to political parties? It's because if a political party has a following and has numbers, then they better be on the right side of that, of those numbers. Because imagine if ANC were to say, look, we are boycotting Pick n Pay today. We are boycotting Pick n Pay, as a majority political party. Industry will shake. They'll have to run in there and make some memes. They're like, guys, please man, if ANC were to change laws so that we close down tobacco industries, they are toxic in South Africa. Now, guess what? It will shake because they have authority. They have numbers. If you have numbers, you can change laws. You can change laws. You can rewrite the constitution. Outright majority. Now, what are we talking about? The modus operandi of the enemy since the ancient days and ancient times. They have been using a single strategy: divide and conquer. If they can reduce you into a Swatini population of 1.2 million people only, then even when you look at yourself, you start to think, who am I against China? Who am I against America? Who am I against London? You know, you start feeling like you are ants, you know, like you are grasshoppers in the presence of America. I mean, America, why did America had to consolidate 53 states into one? Why did they have to unite? They were looking for numbers. 320 million. They were looking for those numbers because it does not make business sense. It does not make business sense. There is no economy. Your economy is dying if your population is not growing. If you are 1.2 people living in Eswatini, you cannot, your economy is not sustainable. Your economy is not doable. You forever have to depend on your neighbors to ship you food because you do not have the capacity within your 1.2 million people to be self-sufficient, produce your own food, build your own house, do everything that the country needs. You have limitation. Now, what does this mean for Africa? Numbers is everything. Think about it. You know, if we go back to the ancient time, you know, I like to go back to you know, my grandparents. You know, my grandfather had many kids. He had 4 wives and he had lots of kids. Literally, yes, lots of kids. Now, what was the benefit of those numbers for Shabalala? It was easy because he had a big estate. Now that means he didn't have to pay nobody to come and plow fields and do all the work that is done. He didn't have to pay nobody to look after to head the cattle, to head the goats, you know, to look after the estate of the family. It means he didn't have to do nothing. He had all the brains, the hands, the skills. He can start his own factory. He can live independently without needing anybody. Because you have people, you have numbers, you have brains, you have got hands. Now, the secret for us is that this is the alternative. This is the solution we're looking for in this hour. The masses have an alternative. They have a choice. That first choice, the first big choice, is our numbers. The very fact that we have majority, you know, even if you look at the global state, of that 8 billion, 1 in 4 is an African. So for every 4 people, 1 is an African. Now, when you look at the global labor force, all the people who work and make economies go around the world, 2 in 4 is an African. Now, just think about that for a second. The fact that we have 2 billion as African, it means Africans, if you consolidate that number globally, we are in the majority. There is no race, there's no nationality, there's no continent that can match us with our numbers and with our vastness of land and wealth and asset. Now, you see, China has a problem with India. They have the numbers, the population, but they do not have equal share of land, you know, that will support and sustain their populations. Now, Africa, on the other hand, we have ample of land and natural assets, and we have ample of numbers. We are a unique continent. We are the only continent that does not need the whole world. We do not need America. We do not need Britain. We do not need the whole of Europe. In fact, if Europe was blown away and disappear overnight, we would not need them. We need nothing from there except fiction and lies, because that's deception. Africa has everything naturally, and they have all the labor. Now, the fundamental levers of any economy in economics, means of production, the biggest element is the natural resources, which then encompasses land, water, and all other things that live on that land, whether minerals or trees and anything that can grow on that land, even livestock that can live and thrive on that land. So land as a natural asset, it's one of the things. But I tell you what, land and natural resources mean nothing. You can have all the gold, the entire slab of Africa can be gold, but it is meaningless. It has no value. What gives it value? What gives the diamond value? What gives gold value? Its value. What gives a tree its value? It is people. It is human brains. It is human. When a human find a good use for this thing, then they add value to it. I mean, without a human brain, Earth is worthless. It's worthless. But human beings are the one who will take this dust and produce things that are of value and things that are useful for humanity. And guess what? It is human beings who will buy these tools or these things that you produce. If you're building houses, you're building it for who? If you're producing food, who must buy it? If you're making clothes, who must wear them? If you're making cars, who must drive them? If you are building hotels and you are building airlines and planes, who must use those things? If you are making, digital devices, cell phones, and you're making laptops, who are you making it for? Who are you? If you're making medicine, who are you making it for? Who's going to use it? Who's going to buy it? Who's going to put value? Who's going to tell you that this thing is worth this much? So this is power. Numbers is power. Now, if the modus operandi of the enemy is divide and conquer, what then is the alternative for the masses and the people? It is simple. I tell you this, if just overnight, Africa can achieve its solidarity. Overnight, I tell you this, if we all can connect, everybody knows everybody's number, everybody has everybody's data. This is the address, this is the buying power, this is the personality type, this is what they like, this is what they, if we have that data and it belongs to us and it belongs to Africa, and we can turn that data, that collaboration into power, we can add value. Now, when we talk of 4 factors of means of production in the economy, we usually talk natural resources as one, and then we talk human resource as second. Then there's these 2 fictitious ones. They say it's capital. One of them. What is capital? It's just printed money. It's printed money. But how can you print money? You print money based on a natural resource. So that means if you've got natural resource, you then can print an equivalent currency that will be reflective of that natural asset you've got. If you evaluate Africa and say all the gold that is on the belly of Africa right now, it's sitting at $1 trillion. Now you have value. Against that value, it's an asset. You can now print money. And when you print that money, your own currency backed by your own natural resources, what then do you do with it? Then you take that, you put it in motion, you build industries, you build infrastructure, you build production muscle. You give people tools that they need so that they express their talents. You give people education they need, expertise they need, so that then they can exercise their talents. You create a space for them to flourish, to prosper. And if they are sick, if your people are sick, take care of their health so that they are back in production. It is people who makes the world go around. It is them, it is their labor that makes mining industries worth billions. Without a miner digging that gold, there's no billion-dollar industry. Without a buyer, which is a human, buying that gold, there is no billion-dollar industry. It doesn't matter now what you look at, whether you look at the cellular technologies, laptops. Now, if you have the masses and the numbers, you really own the world. If you can influence 2 billion people, that in itself is an asset. That in itself is wealth. It's Africa's wealth lies in her people, in her sons and daughters. Now, when the day that the masses recognize that you do not need Europeans, you do not need Arabs, you never even needed the Asians, you never needed nobody. If you first prioritize yourself, son and daughter of this continent, and realize who you are, what a treasure you are, what an asset you are, understand what you've been blessed with, what you've been given. I want to just conclude and say, what is the alternative for the people? It's our numbers. So how do we tap into these numbers? How do we organize and realize the value and the power that is contained in these numbers? This is what ACUP is about. ACUP's vision right now, we are seeing 2 billion of us in all the jurisdictions of the earth that exist today. There's an African there. I mean, there's not a single nation on earth that does not have an African. There is not a single nation on earth that exists that does not have an African. Hey, that is powerful in itself. You know what that means, guys? 1 in 4 is an African. It means if an African were producing something and selling it, he only has to sell it to the 3 other people. That means Africa would be a net exporter. Well, we are already a net exporter. It's just that we do not derive value on both of our labor. We really are saying, we are the one making the world go around. The economies of the Europe, they depend on our labor. It's our sons who are teaching them. It's our sons who are daughters, engineers there, who are working, even in our IT system. It's our sons who build these roads and structures. It's our engineers. It's our labor, all of it. Who runs these farms? It's our labor. Who takes care of these, fruits, fruit trees and orchards and trees? Who prunes them? It's us. So the whole world is fed by us single-handedly. The whole world, majority of it, for that matter, the energy in the world, whether war, nuclear, whether uranium for the power, generation, it's still us. We have it all. Whether you're looking at tech, when you talk of 4IR, there is no 4IR. There is no artificial intelligence. There is no cryptocurrency. There's no robotic without Africa, without DRC Congo single-handedly. There's nothing. Because you see, the very batteries, the very chips that run all of these systems, electronics, smart homes, smart grids, smart cars. I mean, there's not a single car now that runs without a computer. There's nothing actually that runs without a computer these days. Everything has artificial intelligence, has a mind of its own. Thanks to DRC Congo. And together, as they work with Taiwan, together they are leaders. They are world leaders in EVs, electric vehicles, technologies, because they supply the ingredients that are needed in that space. Now, if you understand that numbers, mean all of this, then the duty we have as a generation is to be very conscious that when we walk away from this conference today, everybody has a mandate to collect and connect. it doesn't matter what is your group, whether it's teachers union, whether it's doctors, nurses union, whether it's a religious organization, whether it's a political organization, whatever it is that you have access to, whether it's a sporting club, whether it's a runners club, whether it's a cyclist club, now it is the hour to call and invite everyone and tell them, guys, we need to organize ourselves and tap into our potential. We need everybody's brain, everyone's brain. We need all brains on deck. There's not a single brain that is useless. This is not a competition, it's a collaboration. It is not the survival of the fittest like the West would let us believe. There's a synergy. 1 + 1 is not 2, it's greater than 2. That's synergy. You don't get, some of you who've heard, one of you can set 1,000 to fly, 2 of you 10,000. So there is an added synergy there in 1 + 1. You get more than a sum total of the 2 potential. Now imagine when you put 2 billion brains together to create something. The whole world will tremble. The entire earth, right now, they're not talking about Africa. Africa is the least of their problem. The fall of America, they're thinking the next superpower is China. But it's because they do not know Africa. They all undermine Africa. They really undermine the potential of Africa because they think it's captured. They think, we have suppressed Africa. We've wounded this giant. This giant will never wake up, will never rise. But they do not know that what they're missing is that they thought they killed the leaders that spoke of unity. I mean, from Marcus Garvey to Abo Kwame Nkrumah, to Robert Sobukwe, they thought they've killed and buried those leaders. They forgot that, when you cut a tree, sometimes the root is still on the ground and there will be a shoot from that tree, from that stump, and that it will become a mighty tree. And you cannot kill Africa. You cannot enslave it forever. Africa today, in this hour, it is free. It is free because we've gathered. It is free because her sons and daughters are responding to her cry. We are feeling it in our bellies that this is the hour. The world does not understand it, cannot understand it. They are not even calculating it. But it is happening. It is rising in our time, in our lifetime. Africa will unite. Before we die, and some of us are buried, we will see an Africa that is united. This is what ACUP is calling for. Now, it does not matter what brand you have, what identity, as long as you are a Pan-Africanist, as long as you are an African, as long as you descend from this continent. It doesn't matter now. Bring your group. Yeah, if you have an organization, bring everybody, tell them come. ACUP does not discriminate. And ACUP, you don't have to fight for positions. Everybody is welcome. Everybody has an input. We have organizations, we have teams, we have got leaders, but actually our leaders are most accessible in ACUP. Can you try accessing Cyril, our president? Try accessing any of these MPs in parliament right now. Try access the mayors that we've just appointed and see how difficult it is to access them. To tell them now, hey, dude, I put you in office. Now, this is the reason I put you in office. I want you to do 1, 2, 3 for me. As soon as I've appointed him, he runs, he jets off into Britain, he jets off to America, he jets off to Israel, he jets off to Rome. He goes and kisses the Pope's hand. What does that have to do with me? I'm the one who appointed you, dude. And my mandate is 1, 2, 3. So why are you coming back with the Pope's mandate, with the Switzerland plan, with the London mandate, with the who are those? Why utatazela ugijimela abantu esingabazi abangakubizanga abangak-appointanga? They did not appoint you. You were appointed by us. We are the ones who put you in office. Now, that is the cry for Africans. You know, we put leaders in office, then they disregard us. They go jump and prioritize Europe and her allies. And that must end. It will end now in this generation. The way it will end is when we go and preach this gospel, unity and collaboration, not competition. We don't have to kill each other, but we need everyone. I mean, imagine it. I've just said we need 2 billion. Why would you want to go and half that number by killing everybody? Why would you want to shoot even one of them? Because if you shoot that number, I just told you, you need every brain. Every brain is valuable. It's an asset. In fact, it's treasure. If you shoot any brain in Africa, you are no different to anyone who takes wealth and throw it away. I mean, you're the guy who's throwing away wealth and assets. It's not even the gold that is an asset. Gold is just dust. It's just a glittering stone. It's not valuable. It's only valuable because of the brain. Now imagine that. What is highly valued? Is it the brain or is it the gold? So I think that's the reality we need to go for. Money is not valuable. It is human life. It is brains that are valuable. Brains make money valuable. It is the brain that decides that money is valuable. It is the brain that decides that gold is valuable. If we decide today that gold is not valuable, it is not valuable. Nobody's going to buy it. If nobody buys gold today, check what was going to happen with the price of gold. If we all decide, guys, 2 billion of us, we are not buying milk today. I tell you right now, that whole milk ecosystem will crash. Because it's not milk that is valuable, that brings wealth. It is the people who believes in that, who puts its value. It's us who declare its value. Now that's how powerful human brains are. So we need everybody. Now, of course, we need our sons and daughters. Let's not allow them to go to waste with drugs, substance abuse, wunga, alcohol abuse, nicotine, and whatever else drugs of this generation. That stuff was tactically planted to destabilize families, destabilize a young generation. Because if you create a youth that is too into substance, then you can then take the land and take the natural resources. Because a wunga addicted youth, what you've just done, you've killed the brain. What you've just done, you've arrested the brain without putting them in the cage. That's what you've done. Now, we have to protect every brain. Our brains, how do we protect our brain? This is how we can respond as a people. That is the second thing. So after mobilizing each other and recognizing our numbers and our value, then we have to protect our brains. Protect the brain against media, against propaganda. You do not have to be spending hours and hours on Western propaganda, books, media, movies, stories. Actually, let's write our own. Let's watch our own stories. You know, in the past, Africans were great storytellers. They write stories. The purpose of writing stories is to impact, it's to educate, it's to pass wisdom from one generation to the next. So today, the storytelling has been captured by Western medias. They are telling a story, yes. They are telling our kids it's okay to be confused about your sexual orientation. They're talking our kids it's okay to sleep around and be immoral. It's okay. Experiment all you can. It's okay. Sleep around. That's what they have said through movies. Because if you watch every movie, guess what you see in every movie? Somebody smoking. Why do we have someone smoking in a movie? Someone is always pouring whiskey in those classes. Why are they doing it? Because they're writing images in our minds, in the minds of our people, that this is what it means to have arrived. We are copying these things. It's pollution that's one thing I like about Arabs. In some of the Arabs, they are trying to protect their cultures. That's why they still dress their cultures. They still do their prayers, their foods. It's because they do not allow Western medias in their territory. They still speak their language. They love their culture. So that's one thing I love about Arabs. I love that about Indians. It doesn't matter how big shots they are. They still pretty much in touch with who they are and their traditions. You see that even with the Chinese. You see that with all other people. Just us as Africans, we tend to despise our colorfulness, our clothing, our language, our traditions, the wisdom. We are despising our elder. We do not listen to them anymore. We are moving with America. It's what America says. It's okay to speak back to your parents, and speak as if. And yes, they can't touch you. They can't, they can't spank you. We've disabled that. This is how we roll. So that's the generation the America are putting. Now, how do we defend ourselves from all of this pollution? We protect our mind. From now on, let's scrutinize the kind of propaganda, the media we spend hours and hours going. Let's change channels. Let's change channels. Let's watch something that is empowering, that is valuable, that will help us progress, that will build us. Let's rewrite the coding in our brain and fill it with a different narrative. Let's change the language. Let's not speak negative upon ourselves. You're not a slave. You're not a servant. You are not meant to just live and exist to have a job so that you go and work for Umlu, your European masters. No. That day is gone. That was okay in the time of your grandparents and your parents. It's not okay for you. It is not okay for you. It is not okay for you to dream. The only dream you have is to go work for a European company. The only dream that you have is to go work for a Chinese company. Are you a Chinese? Are you a European? What about building your own space exploration in Africa? What about launching your own satellites in Africa? How about having your own Lexus and your own Range Rover? How about having your own smartphone? Have your own iPhone, have your own Samsung. How about having your own Microsoft? How about having your own YouTube? How about dreaming about having your own WhatsApp, your own Amazon shopping, your Take-a-Lot, your Uber apps, your Airbnb? How about having your own food? Produce your own, have your own Woolworths. Yeah, own your own Woolworths. You don't have to dream about working for Woolworths. Start and own your own Woolworths, and then you can pass it down generations. Now that's what's possible when we organize ourselves differently. When we organize ourselves differently. I'm gonna park it at that. Hopefully we still have a couple of minutes for contributions. I'm gonna yield the microphone back to you, King Kabala and King Kofi. Am I still there? Am I still audible?
Yes, King, you are audible. I don't know if King Kofi is with us, but King Kofi, are you there?
Yes, you are audible, King. That was a great presentation. I think I've taken a lot from it. That the focus point should be ask the people, and the people are everything. I mean, it is wonderful and amazing hearing you. That was a great presentation. I think I'm not gonna hold the discussion for long. I'm gonna open it straight for whoever has any contribution. Just unmute your microphone, and then you will be acknowledged, and you can come in with your contribution. So the floor is open. The discussion we are having today is about the people's alternative, and King Mfanelo just introduced the topic for us for discussion. So the floor is open.
Umputu, greetings, everyone. I really don't have much to add. The king, in American baseball terms, hit a grand slam walk-off home run. Beautiful. Give thanks and praise. That's all I have to say. Umbutu.
Thank you so much, Uncle D. It's always a pleasure hearing from you. That's wonderful. The floor is open. Any other contribution?
Yeah, greetings, kings and queens. This is Koveyao. What I just want to say is, as Africans, we need to promote our indigenous knowledge system. That's where we are missing the gun, because the Eurocentric group of people have divided our rank in a way, and they made us imbibe that's their negative culture, and we've forgotten ourselves. So as a policy of Ubuntu, because we need to come back to, in Ghana we say Sankofa, go back and take your ancestral values. So we need to go back and promote our indigenous knowledge system in whatever spheres of life, whether education, health, agriculture, whatever. We need to let that indigenous knowledge system prevail in all spheres of our economy. So it's very necessary, because we have been led astray from our originality, which is a big damage on our image as a continent. So we need to Sankofa, go back and take your ancestral values. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, King Koveyao, my great king. Always a pleasure hearing from you. I think your conclusion has been very precise. Let's go back to the roots as Sankofa. Well, I think I noticed Queen Hodaya opening her microphone. If you are in, kindly come in, then we can proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening to everybody. I want to say that it's like music to my ears hearing the main speaker. It's incredible. I resonate with every single topic that he has actually covered. So there's no point in repeating, what he said, because he said it very clearly. One of the first things that we have to do is the re-education of our young people's minds. The older ones, they are there, they can contribute, but I think we'll agree that the youngsters are our future. And we know this was said also, we cannot rely on government. So we just have to start off from the grassroots level. Do things quietly, but positively, all right? And the word solidarity was used. This is extremely important. You know, it pained me earlier on when I read something about South Korea offering our great continent $10 billion. Our government, our presidents are asleep. We should be lending them. The only thing that we need is the actual skills, which we did have. So when the last brother mentioned Sankofa, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. We need to go back and fetch. And we shouldn't allow any of these countries in the West or the East to be taking out our raw material that has been gifted to us by the Most High. Our raw materials need to be produced in whatever is required, and we sell it to them. Yes, they can bring in their expertise, but not their workforce, because we have a workforce. This is one of the most serious periods in our lives for hundreds of years. We must take advantage of it. It's really important. Now, do we have a solution? You know, I did listen to the brother that says, you know, resetting our education system. Yes, absolutely. And that the Arabs don't do this, and the Indians don't do that, and the Chinese don't do that. Well, you know, fortunately for them. But our continent, our people were disturbed. But we know that we are the cradle of civilization. And as the brother said, we need to go back and fetch Sankofa. We can do it. Now, you know, to have one thing in common all over the continent would be, we would be unstoppable. We know, yes, the education system, we know there are so many different languages. I was today listening to the top 10 languages in Africa. Well, you know, Africa, that's the name that was given to us by the intruders, all right? 1884 to 85, when they carved up our continent without our permission. We must learn. Never. And when I say we, I'm not talking about the current government. Right? There's nothing we can really do apart from not voting for them, right? But we have to realize that we have to take back our power to make us great again, all right? We need our own currency. The brother also mentioned about, well, I'm gonna tell you what I can offer, what an organization, a community of mine has actually done. We decided that we need to get out of their evil system. Okay, the oppression needs to stop. We need not be under their jurisdiction. So we have created the world's first decentralized cryptocurrency pegged by gold, backed by human beings, all right, which will never depreciate, which will rise in value, all right? I'm not going to go into more details. So currency-wise, we are covered, okay? We have our own alternative for Facebook, our own alternative for Zoom, for Amazon. I hope you see my point. We have a structure where we will be able, we mentioned about the television, what our children, our people are consuming too much television, right? We heard about storytelling. We are almost there. Now, in order to make things really different. It's like I'm doing a mini presentation of what I want to share with everybody. There's just one thing that we need, and it's our own satellite in space, so we can get away from the www, their World Wide Web, because it is a web. They are using our numbers. Anyway, I don't want to keep on like I'm preaching. I want to say thank you very much to Jehovah's for inviting me. All right, and yes, let's move on in confidence, in faith, knowing that the Most High, knowing that the great universal forces and our ancestors are with us, provided we are being true. We are being truthful to ourselves, to our people, all right? And yes, you know, lastly, I just wanted to say, lastly, I promise, you know, we, our people, and especially my sisters, the queens, have got to overstand why we were enriched with our woolly hair. We have to understand the power of having our woolly hair and get rid of these things that, you know, are being worn, because we don't know what on earth is it. Well, some of us do know what's in these wigs and perms and extensions. Let's be proud of what we have. It is very important that I said that. All right? Okay. I'm Hodiah Bat Israel, and I'm one of the International Tribunal judges that has been really working hard for our people around the continent. Thank you. I yield.
Okay. Thank you so much, Queen. Amazing, a nice contribution from your end. I think we still have some royalties in the house. We have not heard from them. If there's any contribution, let's take it quick. We are in our last minutes before we hand over the microphone again to our speaker of the day to conclude for us. I'm going to take two more. King Sebastian, I haven't heard from you. I hope you are in position to talk. Queen Sifikili, I hope I'm pronouncing it well. If you are in position to talk, it would be nice to hear your contribution as well.
Right, I don't know if I am audible.
You are, my king.
Greetings, kings and queens. It is a beautiful evening in the Republic of Ghana. I'm back home, happy to be. And I'm very happy for the discussions we're having on the people's alternative. An alternative for our people. I don't know if I am still audible, but I guess I am not.
Audible.
I am audible. Perfect.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. So, what is our alternative? For me, I want us to have an extension again on this, and the extension is still leveraging on the population or the size we have. One key factor that we need to pay attention to is the fact that we have the world's youthful population, and that is very important for every like-minded person, especially those of us who like research and analysis of information. What does the youthful population mean? It means innovations. So yes, it is important to do Sankofa, to go back to our roots and revise our standards. However, this presents us an opportunity to also be innovative, to invest in the technological innovations and revolution that we are experiencing now. We need to take a step higher and above, because you look at the innovations, like he said, Sankofa, like my Ghanaian brother said, that we should Sankofa. You look at the innovations of years ago, and there were black people that brought them, and they sold the ideas to whoever they sold to, and became some people's ideas. We need to invest in innovations. Our alternative should be to leverage on the youthful population and invest more in developing capacities, developing minds, so that in the years to come, we are not just boasting of youthful population. We're not just boasting of natural resources where we're talking gold, diamonds, and whatnot of you, but we are boasting of big inventions. We are boasting of life-changing inventions. This is what I have to add. This is what I have to add by way of alternative and expanding the discussions a bit further. But thank you so much for another exciting evening to listen to comrades and kings, and especially our beautiful queens.
Thank you so much, King Sebastian, and for talking about the youth and then the advantage we have to leverage on it. It is very important to really look at the world the way it is. You talk about data, and I'm so much glad that you mentioned it. Well, you are back in Ghana. Drop your message, drop your number in our chat, and I'll give you a call tomorrow. Well, our national chairman, Ken Amelvigbeve, you are in the house. It's nice to see you, and you are always quiet, the wise man. Are you in position to talk? Ken. All right, I think we have gotten the two. Ken might not be in position to talk. King Fanelo, thank you so much for making our evening. We are so much grateful for this wonderful presentation. It seems like you have said it all, and everybody is happy with what you have said. Personally, I think that alternative we have had, and we are already working on it, and that is why when you look across the continent, there are so many initiatives taken by the youth, Pan-African groups and organizations here and there. And as you said, people should join union. And now I think those small group and small organizations, I personally think they need to find a way to work together. Obviously, we cannot all come under one, we cannot all look into one thing at the same time. People have their field. When some people are working on our economical emancipation, some should be restoring our cultural values. Some should be working on our education and technology, so we can converge all those forces. And that is what I personally believe in. Everybody in a little corner can do something, and we put all together and then move to greatness. King Fanelo, I'm going to hand back the microphone to you. But before you conclude, allow King Kabbalah to say in a word before we conclude for us. Thank you. King Kabbalah, over to you. Is King Kabbalah still with us?
Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry, I was just trying to unmute my talk. Thank you very much to King Fanelo, and thank you to everyone. This has been a wonderful presentation. Just like everyone said, I don't have anything to add. I just had a lot of things to take in and to meditate about, and to even strengthen my engagement and my commitment towards this struggle for African liberation. I think the key message for me is, we alone, we are not enough. It's only when we come together, unite, then we are able to make the number that is required to actually make our voice more meaningful. So that's how I would say thank you very much, King Fanelo. Peace and love to everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, King Kabbalah. King Fanelo, please take it up.
Greetings, back. Apologies, I had to jump back to another device because, the night is difficult. But anyway, thank you so much for the contribution. I've heard the Queen speak, Odaya. I've heard the Kings speak, and I've heard King Sebastian. I heard King. King Arnold? I think I'm not sure who spoke when I fell off.
We had King Sebastian, King Kove Yao.
Yes. So, all right, we had a couple of contributions. I think what's important for all of us is to note that we are carrying something. each and every one of us. And whatever you are carrying makes us walk away from this gathering, with more knowledge. So if everybody carries, we are putting our ideas on the table. We are walking away with many ideas, and we leave richer because we've had an opportunity to listen and to hear. And we love diversity. Diversity works for us. It's like music, different colors. They form nice tapestries. Different notes make nice sound. So it's like that when everybody brings their flavor, when somebody brings their color, their idea. Now, I think that is what we want to achieve in our lifetime. ACUP has a mandate to unite and facilitate this conversation and pull all organizations together so that we have one house. We are looking for a time where we've connected all the dots and we've got a 2 billion strong organization that lives in every territory of this world. And imagine the influence of such an organization in all the governments, because we needed to change and transform governments. We have a mandate to change and transform governments. We have a mandate to change and transform our economies. We have a mandate to transform our social standing. We need to train and transform our minds into being kings and queens. That is the true status of who we are. We are not beggars, we're not servants, we're not slaves. We are sovereign. Now, in line with these things, when we gather our numbers together, when we protect our minds, then we can build industries, we can build institutions, we can restore industries with those brains, with those hands, with that collaboration. So that is the idea. But the good news is that I love it that the Queen is mentioning cryptocurrency, that we've got it sorted. That is the idea. We are also in South Africa have registered a bank, a cooperative bank in South Africa for such a purpose, to put capital in our own young people so that we back our own brands. Right now, that bank is talking about approaching farmers to source produce. We want to get rice from Malawi. We want to get beans from Malawi. We want to get nuts from Malawi. We want to go and look for organic honey in African territories and jurisdictions. And we want to offer this into our ecosystem and create our own online shopping experience and logistics that supplies that and delivers it door to door. We're talking in Botswana how we can move beef and make biltongs and make things and ship it. We are talking to Eswatini how we can, they've got a decaf coffee beans that are grown there. We're talking to Kenya how we can get the tea leaves and the coffee beans there. We are talking, I heard Angola has this baobab tree juice. It's a delicacy. How do we start as Africa enjoy the quality of our produce? How do we build institutions that take care of our people, build infrastructure that is proper, proper homes, proper schools, proper healthcare, proper medicine, proper labs, and medicine, not these ones we are bombarded with which are foreign to us. We will no longer rely on foreign technologies. We want our own. No more foreign capital. No more foreign capital in Africa. We will organize our own capital, our own reserve banks, our own currencies, our own banks, against our own assets, natural resources. Rewrite laws so that the natives can have their inheritance back in their hands. It will never again be foreign control. That is the idea. That's what's possible when we organize ourselves and when we change and transform our brains, when we start collaborating and tap into that potential and build institutions that, once again will make the world marvel. We will build economies that will rival China's economy, and the Western economies. I don't think people have seen what's doable with Africa when it's united. The whole world will tremble at that. In fact, there will be no economy that can equal that. Never. It will be unmatched. What comes out of that, it's amazing. So I think that's what we're pursuing. And at speed, that is what we need to work together. So let's spread the word. Let's pull our organizations together. Please inbox me. Let's talk in between. Give us ideas. Let's share. Let's share what is in your ecosystem. In fact, I know that in Sierra Leone we've got farms that are happening. In Nigeria we've got farms. Our queen was telling us is producing hectares and hectares in Nigeria, and the numbers are growing. So I know we've got a lot of good stories to tell and share. And if we connect the dots, then the value, there's no limit. Sky will never be the limit for what's possible. So I think that's the heart of the discussion tonight. So let's park it at that. Thank you so much for your time and your commitment over this nation and over our people. You are highly valued, even if the work you do does not pay you right now. But I tell you, generations, even our ancestors, they marvel at this hour. They give it's a standing ovation. They're looking at this generation and saying, yeah, that's what we've always been longing for. Their prayers have suddenly been answered in this hour. And I think that is what we need to know. And as we work, as we mobilize, let's not be tired. Let only the grave stop us. When we die, that's it. That's when the work stops. But as long as we breathe, let's work and make it happen. So thank you, kings and queens. Thank you, King Coffee, for moderating, and thank you for all the contributors. Peace and love. Have a
Peace
good
and
evening.
power, King.